My name is Sabra Morman. I'm the curator of this amazing show, Community, Love, and Family. And basically, I decided to incorporate all these amazing artists in the show because I truly believe that they bring awesomeness and light and positivity into everything that they do. So today, I would like to interview them about their artistry, and we are going to get started. Oh, and thank you again to this gallery. Ian, it was amazing working with you, and thank you to the board for giving me this awesome opportunity to make my curatorial debut. Woo! Okay, so I would like to ask you guys, how has the love you've given, received, felt, or witnessed influenced your work? Who would like to take the lead?
I think that love has been more recently a part of my work. I think a lot of times my work will come from like a concept or a story that I've heard, but more recently I've been like, since COVID and all this stuff, you having to kind of reflect, and so you kind of think about the people that you've been with and who you can't see and who you can see and all that, and so that love kind of like influences the work that you're doing, and that's definitely true for me.
Yeah, like the boundaries, the recent boundaries we've had to like be a part of and like adhere to is hard because normally my process is so much more connected, making a lot of functional where I have to be with groups of people who are interacting with my work and kind of informing whether it's truly functional for them. But not being in that environment and having to work again because I said so and not because of a need it's changed the way I work, and it's been positive.
Yeah, I think that just the distraction of that's my getaway of everything that's going on in the world. It's like besides everything, whether it's making money or not, or it's just the thing that it's like okay, it's like a solid thing, and it's keeping me together right now.
Yeah, I feel like love is like a big part because of like people mentioning like COVID and stuff. Sorry, I'm like I wore that mask like way too long. I didn't even realize that. But I feel like that even too. Like I don't know, just the mask is like a whole other thing that I feel like that being put into our society. It's like this symbol of like, do you care for people and stuff? So I feel like love is like a topic that we're all talking about now. It's like. It's about what does it mean, and I feel like that's what's cool about art now. It's like, what does it mean to you? Not what is it good, what is good or what is not. It's about, and like, because we've probably been like shoved near people now because you have to go home, you can't work in like a studio, like a school. Sam and I experienced that. It's like, you're now have to show your art to probably like more family and friends than like peers. So it's more like people who love you versus people who are like, know their shit. So it's like I feel like for me I was like I would lean into like what I like versus what is good, like being around a lot of like maestros and stuff. Like Sam is amazing. I work near him and he saw a bunch of our other peers were like technically so good, but like working off love is just like this whole other pedestal that's like it's you, it's not like how good you are. And I think that opened up something for me.
Just to kind of piggyback off of that, I think that's like super important. I remember one of my teachers was like we were in the same class and our teacher was talking about like not being a wrist, because every artist has a wrist and they can paint, but it's like, what are you saying with that ability to move your wrist to be able to make those pieces?
Those are really great answers, really great. So how do you guys feel about your community? Do you feel that you've been supported as an artist? And if not, how can the community support you more?
Just about every show I've been in, I heard about or was recommended for by a friend. So all the showing I've done has been community connections. That's led to other shows. I ended up curating because I was in the same group show a couple times. Then I ended up curating 2 other shows. I ended up having a solo show at that same gallery, so there was a relationship that way. I've also been part of like an art studio for a while. There were other people doing the same things, so we would have studio work days together. So there's a lot of support just in coming together to mess around and find out. A lot of support when the studio got a grant. Like, I was supported by the grant, so I've had a tremendous amount of support from the local community through showing, through studio work, through just general encouragements and connections. Or I've been in shows with really vulnerable themes. Like, I was in a show where the theme was fear and another where it was trauma. And when you're putting work out into a show like that, it's all like, oh, what are people gonna think? Is it gonna be like too weird? And the curators, the other artists, and the audiences really held a lot of space and related to the weirder, more vulnerable, or like more kind of work that I was explicitly saying was coming from spaces of trauma. So that was really powerful, where I could feel less alone in the world through showing the work.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like my community has supported me as an artist. I'm not so sure I've always supported myself as an artist. Like Sabra was talking about, just even coming into this show, make sure that you're making something, even if it's outside of your media. For whatever reason, you know, you're an artist because you know how to have a conversation through media. And, you know, sometimes you might be limited by that ability, but you're never completely cut off from it. And so I've noticed that it's easier for people to help you when you help yourself. So the more I started getting opportunities, the more I realized it's time to make more work. It's time to do something, ask yourself a question and spark your interest, you know. The times that I felt unsupported by the art community was when I started to ask those questions, and rather than a good bounce back atmosphere or a good input, I more got, well, I don't know why you didn't do it this way, or why isn't it, you know, why don't you do it like this? You're a potter, so you should be doing this. And I think that goes back to what you were saying with like showing your work to family versus showing your work to people who know their shit. Like, they'd be able to take me as a potter and see it for more than, you know, just functional wear. So it kind of goes both ways. I mean,
A quick note from the person with the camera: saying your name is helpful.
Yeah.
Maybe to introduce yourself.
Yeah, we should.
Introduction.
yeah, we didn't do an introduction.
Do you want to
Yeah.
do
We
introduction?
jumped right in. We
I'm
jumped right in.
a good host. I mean, I'm a good artist, not a good host. Okay.
So we'll just kind of go around this way.
Well, my name is Quin Gist, also known as Quin, and I do photography and as well as clothing designs.
My name is Ricky Blanding. I do ceramics, so I make functional wares as well as sculptural work. I also work in fiber, and I like to sing. I do.
Own it.
Yeah, my name is Habacuc Bessiake. I'm a mixed media artist, illustrator, muralist, and also teach part-time. Yeah, those are my mediums and things I do.
I'm Theresa Morarity. I'm a multidisciplinary artist, primarily working in weaving, fibers, sculpture, and installation.
I am Shawana, also known as She, and I am an abstract artist. And this is my first show with Sabra.
Hey.
Sabra said, "Come on in," and I felt the love, so I wanted to respond to that thing, that it was Sabra who has given me the chance to do my first art show, and I want to thank you.
Of course.
Awesome.
Great having you. I'm Sabra Morman, and I'm a painter.
Hi, I'm Ryan El-Yafori, artist, muralist, designer, illustrator.
Yay!
Okay, what do you want to leave the community with your art? What is your legacy? What do you want to see happen when you're long gone?
Peace,
Yeah.
community, people feeling like they can have access to each other, you know. Like, I don't know, I used to think that my work was set up to become kind of like a tunnel between people, but it kind of started to become a tunnel deeper into yourself. So I want connections to be made.
I would say I would want people to view Detroit differently. Being born and raised here, it was always a stigma with the media that kind of displayed parts of the city in a negative light. However, there's still a lot of beautiful gems and things that's being renovated now that should, make a mark on the planet. And it is actually, but it always have. So I just wanted to let the world know that, Detroit has always been on the map.
Right.
I hope I make a lot of money. You gotta focus on the present. So I want to make a lot of money. I do want to do that. I don't know how to do that, but also I feel like more importantly, like also just kind of like going back to like the corny family shit is like I think like art is about like the process now. Like I'll have nephews and stuff like come behind me and be like, oh that's that looks cool, and they get inspired by art, or I got a nephew that like plays the trumpet and shit, and I'm like, do that shit, and did you know you can play saxophone too? So I feel like art, you were saying like it's kind of like a portal to yourself, but it's like it's a portal kind of to everybody. Because it's like if you kind of get like in touch with kind of make, vibing or whatever it is, whether it's like self-exploration or graffiti, if you get in touch with that and you can get loose like that, you can like allow other people to do their thing, and that's like I feel like that's like the key. That's like the key. If you can do that as many times, and touch people like that, so that they are like, yeah, I'm down to go into the tunnel too of self.
Yeah, that's good.
That's like I feel like that. That would be good for me.
Yeah, like you said, having access to each other is a part of that. We have so much stuff in common, and when you see somebody else express something that's inside of you, you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that this person who like doesn't dress like me, talk like me, come from where I come from, is emulating this thing that we can't put our thumb on, but it's coming from both of us, and it just makes you want to come closer. And like art gives us that rare space to be able to do just that thing for no apparent reason, but the fact that we said we wanted to,
Like that. With my work, I think if nothing else, I'd like for it to bring more joy into the world, even if it's not, if it's not necessarily from like a joyful subject matter, but like someone being able to take their time and look at something that they might enjoy. That's one thing. But then this also makes me think of like how like my teaching, and with that, I feel like one of my main goals would be to like pushing yourself and like wanting to be better. I feel like it's something that everybody could be striving for.
I guess I would like to say I think that I would hope for my work to take people away, or just give them a moment to be able to whatever it is that they're thinking, or whether just take you to a different place, or just to kind of be able to maybe no, you don't know how your day's going, but then I needed that, or it was a great distraction from whatever's going on. So I think that's what I would like to leave, and also make money.
Right.
Hey.
Doing it for it.
Right.
For me, I want to leave the world with a better understanding that we have more in common than we do different. In my artwork, I try to represent what I really see in the world, and I know that people are very, like segregation exists, but when I look around, I see a lot of different people together more often than I see them separated. Yeah, that's what I want to just love. Okay, so I really like this question. When has a stroke of luck changed your artwork or come into play when you're creating artwork?
I was stuck on a sculpture, and this was like 9 years ago or something. I couldn't figure out what to do with it, and so I took a weaving class because I thought it would help me figure out how to like tackle this wire sculpture. And that was like 9 years ago. The sculpture's still not done, hanging in my wall, but I've got a loom, like the weaving's funded. I've got 3 weavings in this show. Like the weaving really took off. Like that ended up being a happy little accident. Like me trying to explore that avenue opened a whole new world of weaving wonders for me.
That's awesome. So over the summer, the after-school programs that I teach went digital, so we started making like art supply packs for our students, and we like were putting like paint in little squeeze bottles, And so I actually kept a couple of those squeeze bottles, like, because we had a bunch of extra over time. And like with my work, I like to experiment with a bunch of different mediums. And so like even this piece right here, like I use that squeeze bottle that we were packing for the students to like get that texture for the rice that I have in the piece. And I've been using it in a lot of things actually recently. So.
Yeah, recently I actually had a piece that was a flower pot. I had made it a long time ago, and it size-wise, function-wise, shape-wise, it just did not match the other stuff in the group. So I intentionally wanted to glaze it something different. And in that, there's food-safe glaze, and there's like non-food-safe sculptural glaze. So I said, all right, let me go on and decide and make it a flower pot, put some non-functional glaze on there. And Weathered Bronze is a glaze in our studio, and it's pretty stable, you know, but the mixes don't always turn out right. Well, I ended up mixing it with what's called matte black, and people loved it. Like that piece started more conversations at my pop-up than almost any other, and I placed a couple commissions based off of just that glaze combo. So, you know, had it not been for that.
I feel like a significant time that like first seemed kind of shitty, but then turned out to be good luck. And definitely feels like good luck. But like I was doing art of like portraits and stuff, and I did one of a producer, and then someone was like, "This is so cool, you should sell prints." So I started selling prints online, and then they were tagging them, and I was tagging them, and then he reached out to me and he was like, "Dude, salute, your art is dope." He was like, "But why are you selling, you know what I mean, why are you selling my face?" You know, like, I didn't really, wasn't cool with that. And I'm like, damn, dude, and I was like heartbroken. I'm like, dude, like, I didn't realize what I was doing. And like, I didn't make much money, but like, it's just not a good look. So he was like, "It's all good, you can do it." And I was like, "No, I'm taking it down. Like, obviously I'm not, can't keep making money. That's fucking weird." So then I like cut it off, and then like 6 months later, he was like, "How much for a piece?" And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Name a price." And honestly, I to this day, I'm like, I undershot it for sure. But I just was like, I was fanning out. I'm not gonna lie. So don't fan out. Don't do that. You know, if you do get that person that you really look up to, and they say, "What's the price?" Like, Go for it. Because the worst thing is you can say is like, no, you know what I mean? Like a Craigslist deal, and they'll meet you somewhere. Yeah. Shoot high, they'll meet you. I didn't. But overall, it was like a dope experience. Like I got to send that thing, and like it was a good experience, and like it put a battery in my back, you know. And that, like the money came other places later in life. That luck turned out to, uncover different stones and shit. But overall, it was like a good experience for me, and it made me, I don't know, like believe in myself. I think I needed that at the time, just going through like, I think it was like a school thing, man. I was just like getting my ass whooped. And so that, I needed that, that was my good luck of like someone who I really was looked up to wanted my thing. So made a difference.
I guess I'll say that my stroke of luck, because for me, I never, as a child growing up, I didn't really see myself as, only thing I can remember doing was like being in class, like, what are you scribbling on a table or something like that. And I didn't realize that, somewhere deep in me, I wanted to be an artist. And just one day, I'm like, my hand was just itching. And I'm like, what's going on,
That's that money hand.
Yeah, but it was that too, though. But I'm like, what's happening, And it was like, I had this need of wanting to, I was like, I need to do some art right now. And I had like some eyeliner and lipstick because I didn't have any, materials or anything. And just to think of from that moment, I started from there, and then it was just like, okay, I've sold a couple of pieces, and I'm here, and I'm like, so that's the whole stroke of luck of just even, taking it from like, I don't even know where that from just like, okay, so yeah, from like just the journey is all, you never know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, and like so Sabra and I had this conversation about luck and blessings and the idea of things that you didn't plan to come into your life that affected you, and you can't help but acknowledge that it was completely outside of you, this thing or event or benefit. And definitely, like, blessings lead to blessings, and I think what's really important is to acknowledge when something special's happening, when there's like this moment, right? And when you go for that, you know, and you adhere to the fact that, okay, I'm available for it, I'm going to put my best foot forward, usually something comes back, whether it be through a lesson or some money or okay, it'll trade itself out. Yeah.
Well, I've had a 2-year running one of the anti-capitalist sort of projects, like the plant sculpture I've got here, where you give the pieces of it away. Where there's an Irish superstition: the more you share luck, the more comes back, and the more you put it out into the world, the more comes back around to everyone. So at the beginning of the pandemic, my dog started finding these 4-leaf clovers in the park, so I'd start to give them away. And then as the superstition literally happened, the more I gave away, the more I'd find. And then last summer we gave away 600 4-leaf clovers.
Wow.
I would put them, make bookmarks, I would put them in little bits of resin and make jewelry and whatnot. And it just kept the more aggressively I gave them away, the more aggressively I'd find them. So it was almost, it was like, if you're superstitious, it literally seems very magical. Or it's just this wild coincidence, enough that it's cool. And then this past spring it started again, so we're in the second year of this little Spread the Luck project. And we started finding even more, and I started counting them this second year we were finding them, and I lost count at 3,144.
Wow.
And so I have some today. They're 4-leaf clovers, little lucky bookmarks I brought, so everyone can take a few. The way it'll work, you've got to spread some of the luck around, though, so you have to take some to give away.
Aww.
And then hopefully they're pretty more luck.
that you're looking at.
Lafayette Park. We found them all in Lafayette Park.
Wow.
Good luck.
You got them all.
Right.
I mean, but there were more. I kept finding more. So you take some of these, give them away, and then take the little one out to the playground and see if you can find some. They're a lot by the slide.
Alright, well that's a perfect segue into my next question. How do you think being a Detroiter has impacted your artistry?
I feel like it's given me the ability to have grit. I feel like there's a good word that I feel a lot of Detroit artists have, thick skin, willing to throw themselves into shows or willing to, try their hand at something always, you know what I mean? There's always an effort. I feel like Detroit is all about effort because it gets noticed in places that aren't Detroit, that are, a lot of people that I would say are like me, you guys included. I always feel like there's something connection of hard work in there, that you do it just because you want to, giving out clovers. So
that's awesome. Yeah, piggyback off of that, the hard work and the grit. I think that another thing is that not only are we hard working, but also there's a little bit of swag to it. Everybody's got a little bit. And maybe not everybody's dripping out. Wearing really really nice clothes, but even you can. It's how to shine through a struggle. It's a beautiful thing.
I think it's made me not be afraid to roll up my sleeves and get dirty. I'll sit out on the street corner with my painting and I'm in the right mood.
Yeah.
Because I believe in it so much.
That's right. When I didn't have bus money, I would busk on the corner at Birmingham or in Royal Oak or whatever to make some money real quick so I can go home. And that's a shared spirit here in Detroit. Opportunities are out there, but like you said, being available for it makes people recognize that, and you build respect for that, so there's a tougher skin.
In Detroit, I feel like is a place where if you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
For a lot of things. So if you really want it, just shout and somebody will show up. Even if it's just a guy walking past, somebody's gonna walk in and check it out. So I feel like that is a very Detroit thing too.
Yeah, it feels like, that saying, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. If you can make it here in Detroit, you can take the skills and your swag and your style and your know how to navigate in the streets, and you can go anywhere and make it happen. So
yeah,
that's one of the great things about being a Detroiter, is the resilience and the know-how and just, you know, being fun and loving and just having that pride of your hometown, you know.
And I think it also is like, know who you are, know what you bring to the table, and know what you don't bring to the table, and stay in your lane. It's like when you're here, I think the opportunities available in the optics of Detroit change a little bit from states, you know, city to city. But really, this is a social human thing. Like, people know what to respect and what not to respect, and as long as you're not trying to put out or be somebody else, or, you know, be this idea of what the perfect artist is, then that's going to translate a lot better to people who want to support somebody, you know.
I think we have a lot of different art scenes in Detroit too. Like, Detroit's got a tremendous music scene, and so like there's a big cross sort of with the visual arts and with the music scene, whether it's the fine arts, opera, and the DSO, and all the sets and the really amazing work that goes into that, or if you're doing an installation at a music venue for pop-up or DJ night, or a Halloween, one of the Halloween shows, or theater bazaar. There's all sorts of artistic things that are intersecting with music and with performance, or even with culinary arts and whatnot. So you've got lots of different connections weaving back and forth and supporting art to happen in lots of different places in lots of different ways.
Yeah, and like, I'm not from Detroit initially. Like, I recently came out here and kind of transplanted myself here, and I keep springing back and forth. But, you know, it wasn't until I really left Detroit that I got to see Detroit. You know, and being from outside, I was like, wow, like, this is what it's about. And like, a lot of people who are from New York or from the West Coast, they talk about this place differently than the experience is. And I don't know if some Detroit artists really understand the value of being there. I feel like they sometimes look at it as a hindrance and not as a strength, and it really is a strength to be considered a Detroit artist. You know, you're next to some real amazing artists and amazing people in industries, you know, and you really just gotta like kind of take your blinders off of what you think is possible for you, and just like start shaking hands, start saying hello, start putting yourself out there, and stuff will come up. Yeah.
Oh yeah, well, I just think Detroit is the place to be. I've been here all my life, and when I do go out of town, you know, people, they give Detroit the utmost respect, and it's like, wow. But just me being here, I have actually moved away and came back because it was just like this. And I just feel like the art here is really, like, you know, you see people walking up and down the street selling their art. It's just it's a really live place, which inspires you. You know, you're like, oh man, let me get back to work. Yeah, you know, that was good. Yeah, so it's like, yeah, this is a really a good place to, I think, be right now as an artist.
All right, I have one question, then I want to open it up for you guys to ask us questions, and then I want to open up a Q&A. So my last question is, what are you guys doing this summer with your art? Where are we going?
Right.
Florida.
Yes. Miami.
Yes.
I think one of the best answers could just be to continue like what's already been going on.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to continue. We're going to keep on pushing forward. We're going to keep on trying to be curious. That's one thing that I love about Detroit. Like, everyone's still curious about what's the next thing going to be, even in this question.
What kind of art are we making? Collections.
Test tiles, testing things, going after one simple question and like beating the shit out of it. Just like really exhausting an idea. Like, I really need to see myself play with an idea for a while outside of certain other aspects of, you know, ceramics or pottery.
I like thinking like kind of similar to that thought of just kind of like, or just using whatever I have, like not necessarily like trying to have like the best marker or like the best paint or the best pencil. Just like if I have it and I'm feeling something, you know, and then, you know, start that rabbit hole of an idea. I feel like that's just like the plan for summer. Murals might be cool too. I feel like that's, you know, that's always like a hot thing. So
That's
one
of those like artist things. Like, oh my god,
That's like public
Yeah.
art. I want to go like
Yeah.
weave some trees somewhere in the middle of everyone's
Yeah. So I actually at Cranbrook they had this this project where they released us all into the woods, and they were like, go make something with only what you find in there. And so I went to the meadow. They have this little creek back there, and I took all of the long tall grass and I tied it all together. And there was these 2 trees that were far away, but it was like in the middle of a field, and I like made this little bridge between the 2 trees. It literally made them together.
That.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to get some like Andy Goldsworthy sort of stuff going on, some like weird outdoor public art going on with like the debris that you clear away and weird outdoor public things.
I like trash though.
Second time I've heard that tonight.
You glue enough trash together, it's art.
It's
That's
Exactly.
exactly. Yeah.
I'm not painting. It's trash.
Right.
Somebody
Well,
else's treasure.
I use trash to make the plant sculpture. They're all
Yeah.
throwing
Someone's
in
trash is someone's treasure.
That's right. Yeah.
Yes.
All of the pieces you see here are all reclaimed clay. So like all of mine. So they literally are all broken pots, messed up things that didn't work out that were reclaimed into something else. So it's literally trash. Yeah.
It's dope.
I'm gonna work on my flow line.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah, make that happen.
Yes.
I want to paint at
Right.
Belial.
We need that.
Yeah, I think we should
Paint,
do that.
paint, yeah. Sounds good.
Yeah, I really
Set it
want
up.
to do.
Look, I mean, let us know when.
Yeah.
I mean, we can just.
We should get some easels and go out. Yep. That's what we'll do.
Yeah.
As soon as we get a really beautiful day. I mean, yeah, it's getting there.
Almost.
Yes. How many painting sits. Anyway, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Let's talk about.
Oh, okay. Well, how about you do another art show like this?
I know.
Right.
I'm
Right.
ready. Let's do it all the time.
I'm like, we need to. Yeah,
We need to do another one, please.
This is very inspiring.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm so glad to be able to do this. Actually, this was all luck. I was emailing a bunch of galleries trying to get my name out there like 2 years ago, and they kindly invited me, and then just my luck, COVID hit. So I've been waiting 2 years for this opportunity, and when it came around, I was like, I'm tired of being by myself. So I was like, let me involve everybody I like that I know as an artist, and it was magic, literally. So let's keep doing this.
Yeah.
Okay. Appreciate you having us here.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Sabra.
Yeah,
Seriously.
of course. And I'm so happy Maya is here.
Yeah.
Everyone say Maya. Hey. So I want to open it up for us to ask each other questions. Anybody can ask a question. So
When the next one?
next weekend, I don't know.
Oh,
We'll figure it out. We're working
Okay.
on it. Yeah. Do you want to pull up a chair?
Yeah.
Maya is our resident textile artist.
Okay. I have a question for everyone. How do you guys start your work? Like, what goes into the initial like moments of you making work?
Well, I can start. Well, for me, music.
Yeah.
It's just turn the music on, and I just get in the zone, and that's what I gotta have some music, jazz or R&B, neo soul,
Yes.
Okay.
old school music.
Yes.
You know, so yeah.
For me, I get visions. Like, I'll be driving and I'll see like maybe a color, like that painting right there. I just saw the yellow, and I kept driving by this place on Mac. There's this area where kids play basketball, and so it took a while to formulate the image, but it's usually just a feeling or a color, and it just goes from there.
I feel like photography a little bit. Like I'm always shooting stuff on my phone, so I'm always like using that as like a way to kind of like create like a narrative or something. You know, like I like kind of just whatever. It could be something stupid in a parking lot or whatever. But I'm just like I don't know. For some reason, I kind of base it a lot off my humor. I feel like a lot of times like because like I don't know. I think I'm funny. You know, it's one of those things.
Yeah.
So I'm like, when I see something, I'm like, you know, like I feel like it starts there, even if it's like some dark shit. It's
Yeah.
like you're almost kind of like outside of yourself, like
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like you know, like it is kind of like music style or whatever. Like, you're almost kind of like, so I feel like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I kind of piggyback off of that, like, just like that moment where it's like, oh, I'm starting to lose my train of thought. But you were saying something. What were you just saying the last couple sentences? Because it spoke something.
I think I'm funny and like,
Yeah. Okay, that's what it was. Okay, that's what the process of ideation, like the what if. like how that propels something into something so much more. Like, saying like, what if it could be this and what if it could be that? Like how that like propels it into what like the final product. I think is like super magical.
Yeah. For me, it usually starts kind of as a vision a little bit. It's like I take a couple simple elements and I kind of just twist and create them in my head, and then I see this piece. There's usually just one piece, and I have to create that one piece. It's kind of like a sketch of that vision, and then after I see that and I remember how it feels to me and the nostalgia of it all, then I can propel that idea into some direction, you know. So.
I usually have certain days. There's a day that it usually hits me. Wednesdays. For some reason, I don't know. Yeah, like Wednesdays. Just like, oh, you know, I'm supposed to be. Yeah, I'm supposed to be doing this. But lately, I've been, going more. But that was my initial. And if I see, like a color, or I'll be somewhere and I see something that's, I'm like, okay, I gotta hurry up and get back so I can do something, whatever. It's just, it'll start from there, but then it goes all over the place. So yeah, that's where the abstract comes, because it's never one thing. It'll be like one picture really is like 1,000 pictures. It's never just one picture. So yeah, the picture has a lot of story.
Yeah, I'll get a whole bunch of ideas that kind of apply to one thing, and then I'll try to bring them all together. And sometimes I'll have a picture of what it's gonna turn out to be, and sometimes not. But normally it ends up not turning out that way. It kind of there's a point where the piece sort of takes on a life of its own.
Yeah, that part.
And
like, wait a minute, oh yeah, we have this.
Like there's a point where it's just alive and starts to kind of go in a way, or not go in a way you want it that you would plan, and you gotta let it.
How long do you guys like allow yourself to like take a break from whatever it is like that is your main thing, you know? Like, do you like, is it 1 week, 2 weeks, a month, like 2 months, a year? Like, do you allow yourself to do that, or like if you do, like, do you like feel guilty for it ever? Anybody, I don't know.
Well, sometimes I have pictures where I was like, I'm doing them and I was loving them, and then I looked at them one day and I just kind of put them way to the back, like, and then I brought them out. I'm like, wait a minute, why did I do that? I mean, I've literally had pictures that and it's like, oh wow, this is a really good picture. Why did I get unmotivated and start another one? Yeah, so then they come. So some of them are like old, and then bring them back. So yeah.
I try not to walk away from ideas for too long. There's a momentum that I love catching, and there's just a way that I move. It's like really movement based for me, even like physically. And so if I stop that movement, then I have to kind of like start again to get back to where I was a little bit. So in my media, I try not to take too long, but like in other forms, like drawing specifically, I'll stop for a while and then I'll come back to some. But then there's those others that are just like movement, and I don't care if it's like realism or something just more, what do you call it? What's the word? It starts with a C, not abstract.
Contemporary?
No, compositional. Something that's just a composition, right? Those I usually have to finish. Like, I don't care if it takes me hours. Like, I need to complete the movie, you know?
Right.
I don't know. I think with fashion, it kind of goes better when you take your time. Like, I don't allow myself to feel guilty about taking breaks, because I feel like when you take breaks, that's when you really learn how to do your craft better. Like, if you sit down and watch a YouTube video, or you just think about your plan for your art, sometimes I feel like that's where it cuts your time in half of what you would have been spending trying to make something work that you didn't know how to do. So I kind of like to not put pressure on the timing. Fashion is something that you have to take your time with. So that is kind of a difference with the mediums, but I do feel like we still can all like learn from that chill time. So.
That's a good point. I feel like that is like something I've tried to do now too. Like, there's just so many like resources on the internet and stuff, and like trying to like, I was trying to like make a shape in Illustrator or something for like over an hour, and like I should have just went to YouTube. Like, I was sitting there like fighting it, trying to like get this like James Bond shape. It's like the hardest shit in the world. but it was, like to me it was. But it's just like I should have just looked it up, and like I feel like that's, you know, it's like that's why like
funny.
It's so frustrating.
Because YouTube makes everything so easy. They'll be
I
like,
know,
yeah,
like,
you
oh.
can just, and it's like sometimes you want to do it on your own, like, but
Yeah, like
I
you
know.
know what I mean? And like the sad part is like they make it so easy, and like you watch it 9 times to really get it. But like educating yourself is like part of the process too, or like getting inspired. And I guess like I asked all that question, and then I guess I have like my own like loaded answer. Is that like I do kind of enjoy those breaks. Like I have been, because I was like trying to do like work stuff or whatever, like not art. And then it was cool because it was like art kind of took a back seat for a while, and then it was like it kind of creeped on me like, all right, I gotta do something. I gotta draw something. Or I gotta make something to like. So I don't know. I feel like that's like I felt guilty, but then like art kind of came out maybe, and then not doing a lot. You know, you're like, okay, I did one, you know, drawing or like one project. I could probably do 2 next month or something like that. You like you restart the ball, but like you were saying too, like getting the momentum going is a bitch. Like see, like to want to do it, if you get too far away, like, you know, which is like the extreme of what you're saying. Like I did a month or 2, and then shouldn't have did that because it's like getting the ball rolling. But you kind of come from it at a different perspective too, which is cool. I feel like also with like art, like everybody here, like, and any artist, like, is a conductor. You know, conductor like a light rod, like you are the hands and the brain and the body, but like the soul and the spirit or whatever it is that's like, and then you go and make your shit or whatever, your song, something like that. It's like, you know, you're the portal. That was a word we like used earlier. You're the portal for that stuff.
It's
So
like we reach
you
up
have to
and
do it.
grab it, and then we push it out into something physical almost. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's why it's difficult to, like, selling pottery is tricky for me, because it's not like somebody comes up and they're like, oh, I like this. Why doesn't it have a pretty handle? And I'm like, do you know what you're holding? Like, it's not just a mug, you know. It's a moment in a series of a night where my hips hurt and I was sitting like this for an hour. You know, you don't understand. And it's just like you said, you reach up and grab it. Like, I believe that before I work, I usually pray and I ask God to use me, and I say, Lord, just show me, help me organize myself, my personality, my thoughts, my mind through this media and these skills that you've given me. And I kind of submit. If a piece breaks, fuck it. If a piece works out but it doesn't fit the other one, fuck it, I'm gonna keep it. And you know, it really is a kind of a submission to that flow. You know, regardless of where your source is from, you still have to accept that there's some type of exchange happening, a dance happening between you and what's in front of you. You know.
Wow, thank you for that. That was all very thoughtful. I wanted to ask you guys to maybe do one more question, if you guys want to, and then we can open it up. We'll close.
I think one of the big questions is like, and I don't like talking about this because I don't have very much pedigree on paper as you would, but I also don't want to knock people who have worked really hard to be in these bigger art institutions, because that's amazing that they were able to do that. But have you all felt accepted by the art community? I think we touched on it before, but like, have there been times where you felt like, oh, maybe this space isn't for me, or maybe I'm a bit of an imposter, or maybe I can't have that conversation? Like, what does it feel like?
I feel it's been not more so the world would choose to be inaccessible, more so than what was the first word you said before imposter? You said like something
like is this a question I asked? I don't honestly remember, but like,
yeah.
just, have you felt like you belonged in a certain
right.
space before?
So yeah, versus not being included, more so inaccessible. I feel like I see a lot of artists with opportunities that they'll get like a storefront or something through a grant. And then I'll go back and I'll look at the qualifications for that for me, and I'm never, ever applicable to that situation. So for me, I just feel like, and then they'll throw a party around that, of course, and it'll be all their friends and all that. And so you see this whole thing seen on Instagram or social media of people just showing off their connections, and it's built on a connection that seems inaccessible to me. And I don't know if a lot of these opportunities come from like being enrolled in a college curriculum, you know, like maybe CCS or something, and then they like get a opportunity or a grant. I don't know, but I feel like a lot of those types of opportunities seem inaccessible to you if you are just like an artist who is kind of just really out there working with the public, I would say.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, sorry. Or just working independently. Like, I'm an artist, and I don't try to, like, be involved in, like, a lot of cliques or whatever. It's literally just me painting in my apartment, and I want the art to be appreciated. And it's, like, it can be hard sometimes, you know, if you're not, like, in and rubbing elbows, and it's, like, I just want to make the art.
Yeah. I mean, it's my hobby. It's my hobby, so it's what I do with these, you know, if I have made money, and, you know, there are people that, you know, they require paintings. So, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna still go home and paint. And I think that if you just have like the faith in yourself, because I'm just speaking on what you were saying, just, you know, sometimes you never know. You know, you may meet the right person. You know, or yeah, they probably do have, you know, bigger connections, but you never know who's in the corner, who's, you know. So just, I want to say, keep going.
Yeah. It's not so much of a not keep going. It's like I feel like I always miss it. It's like once it's on Instagram, you weren't invited. So it's like it's not a thing of like they'll keep going. It's more so I'm just like wondering why I'm missing these opportunities. Where am I at? Where I'm not connected to these opportunities.
What helped me was to again make yourself available. If you know you have a couple people in the community, in the art community, or even beyond that, like that own stores or whatever, just start showing up. Just be present. And don't necessarily look for those opportunities, but like they will come to you the more you're present for them. You know, follow up with people too. That's a big thing. You'll meet 7 people on the street and only email or text one of them because they were cute. It's like, no, talk to all of them. Send them an email and a text. You know, and be in people's face, and you know, in an appropriate way, and you will get something back. Okay, but you know, you gotta show up.
I'm gonna say there's definitely a barrier. There's a big fucking barrier. There's a big, huge, gigantic, invisible fucking barrier, and one of them is CCS. It's a big fucking. I love it. I love CCS for what it is, but it is a big fucking barrier.
Ryan went there so he can say that.
Yeah, and like I love CCS. I learned a lot, but it's definitely industry connected. You know what I mean? For one, it's right. It's a two-way street. You pay the tuition, which is expensive as shit, and then you unlock doors. And like that's how I treated CCS. I saw it as like I felt out. You know, like I could not do anything. I couldn't apply for the job. I couldn't give away work to a degree. And so I was like, fuck it. It was just like, you know, like you were saying that earlier, and I feel like that, like sometimes that means, you know, fucking invest in yourself. And you can get somewhere through a network without paying the full thing just by like buying a semester or buying a class, you know what I mean? Because I thought about it, and it's like if I take one class, just a drawing class, and I meet someone like Sam, and then me and Sam started like skateboarding and shit, and like we're cool, isn't that like boom? I'm in CCS. Like if he goes to something and we're cool, like he can tell me there's a talk, or he can tell me this and that. So it's like sometimes you gotta like it's gonna take a little bit, but you don't have to buy the full ride. You know what I mean? And you can take a peek in. And you can get access to some of that shit because there is a ton of shit going on, and they don't want you in if you're not a part of it. They do not. They do not. I don't care what anybody says. If you don't pay the tuition, they don't want you there, and they will out you. But as soon as they know, and you have an ID card, everybody acts like they know you. You know what I mean? You're accepted. Then they'll do shit for you easily, and they'll give you shit, or they'll find you that person, and they'll you know what I mean? If they fuck with you. And that's the thing, if they fuck with you. Because not everybody's going to fuck with you there. That's also something too. You know, I learned that. Like, I tried to throw an event, and like, and I'm not trying to like say, everything I'm saying is I want to say, first of all, like, is positive that if you are a hard worker and you go there, it will pay off. I will say that's my entire point. But to also say to be ousted, it can't happen there. Like I've tried to throw an event before, and I tried to get every department involved, and I had went to like the fashion department at the time, and I was like, hey, I want you to be a part of this like branded project, and can I get access to like any of your top students that are cool, might be down with this cool thing that I'm gonna do? And they're like, well, you gotta give us a write-up of like everything. And it was like, what, you're not gonna give me your email? Like, this shit's gonna be dope. It's gonna be like skateboarding, and it's gonna involve fashion, and they, you know what I mean? I couldn't, and even there was a barrier. You know what I mean? I was meeting with the head of the department and the associate, or whatever. But because I didn't come correct, I couldn't have access to the kids. I should have just, fuck it, I should have just did it myself. But also, I went to talks, I got to get my business card out and stuff like that, or whatever, and this and that. So I would just say, yes, there is certain things that people will treat you different, and like, but nobody will tell you, so sometimes you gotta like just buy part of the bus pass.
I like that approach a lot. I feel like that's where it's wisdom, because just coming from experience, I looked at the tuition for CCS, and I was thinking about going for fashion design. It's like $40,000. But then when I was like really doing my research at the students that they graduated, I could not identify any of them actually selling their merchandise. Like they were getting a lot of opportunities to do free things, but there wasn't a lot of sales. So I'm like, I would be putting myself, I sell as an artist. So I'm like, why would I pay $40,000 to do something that they're not doing when they graduate? But then based on what you said, it's like you still want the opportunities, because the opportunities were still maybe worth $40,000 to me. But I'm like, if I can just do it the way that you said, which is like take a class here and there, or even go back for like graphic design for a semester, where it's only $4,000 or something, then it's like that still will add to my skill set as well as get me in the door. So I appreciate that wisdom.
Absolutely, and you have access to both buildings, so you can go to the top and go where the fashion place is. You know what I mean? You can meet other fashion students, maybe have access to the machines and shit like that. That'll just whoop, now you got somewhere to scan. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
I took my little $300 continuing education course ID very far early in my art career at that school, and I would always go to that library. You can go to the one on John R. Is it called John R? Yeah, you can go in there, but you can't get on the computer or take anything out. But anyway.
But you can look at the stuff.
You can look at it and take pictures on your phone, and then take pictures of the magazines, take a picture of the job board. This is a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
We could teach people how to break the system through that system.
I had to shed some light on it because just like I felt what you were saying. Like I felt that way where I'm like, fuck.
But I think like there needs to be more outlets and more support for independent artists. Like I always see that young man that goes out by Starbucks and he walks into the
That's what I was thinking.
That's what I was talking about when I said the walking. That's exactly what I was talking about. He is like
good.
He's there promptly.
Always.
But where does he go to get into a gallery? How does he get into a gallery?
Because
go ahead.
You know what goes. I was gonna go.
I thought about his number. I look for him.
No, you know what? Because
I told students
it's your
hard
to
to
talk to him
though.
though.
You gotta like signing and dating and stuff.
He's
too,
like
we need him here though. Where's homeboy?
And he has really good art.
Yes,
his art
so
is
good.
great.
Yeah,
but is he any less valuable because it's on a street corner? Like,
No.
I think that's because there's a lack of exclusivity. Like because he's not exclusive, then
he
not
gets
valuable.
every day.
Or because he's creating a lot of work, maybe he's not asking questions and doing it for the right purpose. So now we can't value it in the art world.
I mean, I think
I don't feel that way, but I feel like the greater art world would feel that way.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
The more exclusive, the more like pristine art world will probably exclude him for the reason because he's right in your face.
Yeah.
But then it's funny because he's like the Basquiat one day.
Well, no, if you actually talk to him though, because he came up to me. I mean, he came up and I'm like, just a support for the whole art world, because I'm like, and so you kind of gotta find a angle to actually grab him and talk to him, because it's that he's very talented though, but you have to think on that one. You have to find an angle to, hey. So
Are you talking about Keto Green?
I don't know his name.
Yeah.
I do not know his name, but he right there on Mac.
That's his name.
No, I don't think
No, Keto Green
No,
like
it's not.
signs his things. This is a different dude.
No,
He's like a kid.
he walks and then he'll be like, yeah. So what about those? But It's
He
really
says
good.
some funky shit. One
Yeah,
time.
that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I don't even want to go there because it's
right.
like once you talk to him, you're like, oh, hey.
But it's okay. I just,
But
there's
he's,
other.
Anyway.
I know. I'm like,
Let's
he's a great artist. Let me say that.
He's
He's
a
a
great
very
artist.
great artist. Whatever his name is. Hi.
Are you?
Yes.
Can we continue this conversation?
Yes.
Hold it together.
Okay, I'm ready. Well, are we ready to open it up for our audience?
Yes,
Yes.
thank you everybody who showed up. Really thrilled to have an audience, especially with the Red Wings traffic tonight.
Do you guys have any questions for us?
Sure. What is the most surprising thing you learned about yourself as through your art, and how has it changed how you your life, or like how you do your art?
I think that my art makes me feel like a more serious person than I think I am. I'm so goofy, honestly, and it's like, okay, well, I got that. So it validates me in some way.
I'm much more process oriented than I thought I was. Like, I can be pretty disorganized sometimes, but when it comes to the studio, I'm not. Like, they have a place, and if they're slightly out, I know it. So,
I think the situations in which I've had to make art is what made me like, change my perspective on myself. Like situations where I'm like having to do an all-nighter, and then like looking back and like, oh crap, I did do that all in one night. Like it makes you like it unveils a different side of yourself that you might not have experienced if you hadn't been making work.
I feel like art taught me to like trust my gut and then like carry that out into like other decisions. Like okay, yes, I am gonna do this, or like more definitive, because it's like I have to choose a color, so I should be able to choose what health insurance plan I want. Like right now, like hurry up, motherfucker. So it's like that's just like I feel like it bleeds into all that other shit.
I really have more of a comment. You started the conversation with love. And I'm in the arts too, but in the performing arts. And there's a saying that you always make it a choice of love. It always makes it more interesting as an actor. You always try to choose love somehow in the decision when you're making your choices. And I thought that was very compelling, that conversation that you started with that. And I also want to say that often in the arts, we're always trying to get to that approval or next level or make that connection. And hearing you talk about it was very interesting. Just a different world, really, or different art form. But I think I just discovered that I really think you have it in you, and I want to thank you for doing it. And just go with it. Go with what's in you. The gifts are given to you, and I want to thank you for sharing them. And stick with it. Don't worry about having to get to a certain whoever. It doesn't matter. You just have to keep doing it because it's in you, and you're not going to be able to stop, and you're not going to be happy if you do. So thank you.
Thank you.
That was good.
That's the definition of love, acceptance. Like
Yeah.
accepting, even if you're trying to strive forward, you're still accepting who you are in that moment. I think that's beautiful.
I think it goes back to what I was thinking about what you were saying, and so I think based on that and based on what you said, my answer would be confidence, because like, contrary to me wearing all pink and standing out, like I am not like the person who is like as confident as you would think. So like being an artist and seeing, not so much the looking for approval, but just seeing that my art can really help people, make them happy. It can really like people. I've seen a girl almost cry trying on an outfit that was custom. So like just seeing stuff like that is like, it makes me feel really confident. So I like that. That's what I think it would be.
Okay.
Ricky Blanding Ceramics. Okay. Also Ricky Blanding.
At Moriarty Theresa.
I am the artist formerly known as Baby Doll.
I am the _art by Sabra.
Rely Detroit, RELY Detroit.
Maya Jones, the artist. Maya Jones, the artist.
HS Bessiake, that's HSBESSIAKE. Also, hsbessiake.com. That's my website.
And mine's is Quin_the realtor.
If I could
got
also
somebody to talk
just
to.
piggyback on both those comments, I think that I do appreciate your comment about the whole love and it's about celebrating art. I've been in fashion for years, and I think that if you guys could, as much as we want to make money, you almost want to abandon that being the goal, because it just will get in your way and will distract you. And if you just create and not expecting, but just be true to your art and your craft. Of course, we all want money, but that shouldn't be the reason why you're creating it. And I think that Rick and I have had conversations about he's got to do his work and his art. It's not about the money, but it's about being true to your art and following it. But then on that last comment about your Insta, you also have to, for lack of a better term, you have to whore yourself out on social media, not for money, but just for exposure. And to Reese's point earlier is that the more people you meet and connect with and send an email to, don't send one email out of the 7 because they were cute or look like they had something to get back to you. Send the 7 emails and connect yourself and network. And all that stuff will come, but celebrate yourself and stay true to your art, because it's really been a great show and conversation. But abandon the want for money and further develop yourselves and that will come. But yeah, it's been a great show and conversation.
Someone just brought to my attention about this. I don't know if you guys ever heard of this site called Redbubble. Redbubble. Have you guys ever?
I've never heard of it.
Make stickers and prints and stuff
Yeah,
like
well,
that.
it's like you can upload your work and you can sell it for however you want to sell it. Like you can sell it on a shirt, or you can turn it into a whole different whatever you want to do. However avenue you can play with it on the internet and change the colors and tweak it. Like if you want to do it on shirts or you want to sell it as an outfit or whatever. But I just was introduced to it I think maybe 3 days ago, so I'm letting you guys know. But I know that they do want a nice portion of your sellings. So of course that's that. But so I'm working on it right now just to see where it goes, or what you can sell them as stickers, or you can turn your art into so many different avenues. So that's it's called Redbubble. So I haven't really done it yet, but I'm about to start and see what's going on.
Yeah, I mean the whole concept of doing it for love is definitely, I think that's everyone's point, but at the same time everyone has that desire to do what they love for money, and we can't live without money. So it's not there's this serious sick aspect of greed. It's just fuck, I'm trying to live, and do my shit. So I think and it's just getting a clear head on that of okay, I am doing it for love, but I need to survive. But yeah, you keep it in your life because it is what you love to do, and continue to do it, and for yourself out with social media, of course, if that's what you're doing. But also there's a big, nobody talks about burnout, feeding the fucking beast, because Instagram will eat everything you got, and word to the wise, they own it, so mark your shit. So
and that's why I'm always really particular about putting my stuff on there. I haven't really, because I'm somebody can just actually take it.
And to be honest, I feel like it turns us against each other as artists. I just feel that way. That social media turns us all against each other.
Yeah, I just see the profitability and sustainability combined with some of the apps like Instagram and Facebook, like some of the other ones, maybe YouTube, maybe Amazon, maybe some of the apps that allow you to actually really monetize where you're setting a dollar amount to your content, but just spending hours editing YouTube videos, or not YouTube, but Instagram or TikTok videos, it's just not sustainable for me as an artist. And then also having to figure out money, and then also having to figure out marketing that has nothing to do with Instagram and Facebook, managing customers and actual orders. I think I've discussed this before as well. If I'm going to cut one, the first one's going to be Instagram and Facebook. I might DM some people, but those same people who are probably going to buy could text.
But I feel right now Instagram is potentially the modern portfolio. Because when I went to school and finished art school and fashion school, we carried black cases around, and we had to go into buildings and walk the streets and open our book and discuss it and do that. So you have to maybe change your mindset and idea about Insta. Use it as your portfolio. Just put out 1 or 2 new pieces whenever you want to. No timeline, and not worry like it's because we had to have big black cases and fashion sketches and do all kinds of shit and walk the street and pray for a phone call and try to get through a door. So I think Insta is kind of like this new way of basically your virtual portfolio, and use it as that, not as like, don't let it cripple you, but like kind of just like slide in your work every so often.
Yeah, you're like, be thankful.
Let somebody find your pieces and be like, wait, I gotta find this person and I want more of it. But use it as maybe a portfolio, because otherwise, you know, Detroit doesn't have an industry, a fashion industry where you can walk the streets and walk with your portfolio, and or galleries. I mean, Sabra's done her due diligence of finding spaces and curating, you know, this. But yeah, don't. I mean, try to let instant work for you. Maybe.
Yeah.
Or not, you can hate it.
No,
Don't do
I
it.
feel like we need
I like
Daniel
that.
to be our calm
Yeah.
artist support group here.
I
But
like
I
the
mean,
balance
but
of
I-
what you're saying.
But I come from a day where I had to sit and skip
Yeah,
on
so
paper
he's like,
and a book and a
yeah, y'all got it
portfolio,
made.
where I had to make the
Stop
transition
flirting.
to social media.
Yeah.
And now that's
Right.
just the modern way of doing our work, doing our art, and you know, exposure is everything. And I think Ricky can attest to that. You know,
Yeah.
it's about exposure, and you know, how you can expose yourself if there's not a pulse or a place in Detroit other than this.
Yeah.
If they're on social media.
I like the perspective of portfolio for real, and I think that, like, honestly, like, that's probably like how when I first started the page, or a lot of us, we started it like we're gonna just put our art out. But I think somebody said it becomes a monster after a while. But I like how you put it in perspective of like finding that balance, because instead of worrying about hashtags, I'm just gonna put it out and
Or
like
just sketch on your Insta, and then maybe
Yeah.
put a picture and then sketch. Like, do it at your own pace, but like use it as a tool, because it should really you know, push you forward.
Yeah.
I know it's a pain in the ass to sit down and have to do the work, but like make it work for you. Make it work.
Yeah, I think like the approach is that like treating it more like a vlogging type of thing, like where you're just kind of like letting Instagram be like a peek into what you do. You know what I mean? And then if you have something in the can and you load up some content, you're like, oh, I'm gonna kill him with this one. But for a while, it's just like you just like lead on to like stuff and like show something, but not all of it. That's your website, right? You know what I mean? That's
Exactly.
you use the Insta to lead them to the website or whatever cool shit you're doing, the links, you know, and not necessarily like, because like, I don't know, I've tried to like sell art on there sometimes. I don't know, just sometimes it just feels like greasy. I'm just like, shit, bro. Like I want to, and then I do it, then I'm like, instantly I just feel like, I don't know. So it's like, I think I've gotten more kick out of it just being like, featuring, you know, just the corner of something or whatever, you know, like it just be like that highlight.
Yeah, I definitely think like one of the important things. I was just gonna say how
We'll have
how
Habacuc
you
close out the conversation.
close it
I
out
really
after.
think that how we really. But like what he was saying was like how you use the tool. Like this is a superficial tool, so your depth into it should be superficial. As like you shouldn't really dive deep into something that you know is superficial. So use it as a tool. Use it with like as a grain of salt, you know. And then you could use your own website, your own platform. That's where you go dive deep. You know, your body of work. That's where you really dive in.
Oh, thank you. Do you want to close this out?
Yeah,
That
that was the close.
That was it.
Okay.
Hope everybody enjoyed